In the world of baseball, few players have managed to combine talent, courage, and personality as intensely as Lenny Dykstra. Known for his contagious energy, bold style, and willingness to throw himself into every play, Dykstra was more than just an athlete. He embodied competitiveness on the field. Hello, dear friends. I'm Alder Santos, and welcome to our channel, Baseball Legends. From his first appearances with the Mets to his leadership moments with the Phillies, he stood out, not only for his stats, but for the way he turned every game into a spectacle, winning fans over and demanding respect from opponents. His story goes far beyond the numbers. It's a narrative of passion, audacity, and challenges met with determination. What makes Dykstra's journey so fascinating is the contrast between his greatness on the field and the setbacks that marked his life off it. While leading teams to the World Series and posting impressive numbers, his bold and intense style often sparked controversy and risked both his health and reputation. Later, allegations of substance use and legal troubles added layers of complexity to his image, making him one of the most controversial and intriguing figures in modern baseball. This duality between sports hero and controversial figure keeps his story alive and continues to spark discussion to this day. Watch this video until the end and tell us which moment of Lenny Dykstra's career impressed you the most. Leave your comment below, share your stories, opinions, and curiosities, and let's discuss together the intensity, achievements, and challenges of this player who left his mark on both the Mets and the Phillies. In this video, we'll explore every facet of Lenny Dykstra, from his humble childhood in California through the draft and meteoric rise in the minor leagues, to the moments of glory and personal struggles that shaped his life. We'll uncover how his intensity, courage, and unique playing style shaped not only his career, but also the spirit of legendary teams like the Mets and the Phillies. Get ready to discover never-before-shared details, curiosities, and stories that explain why Lenny Dykstra is remembered as one of the most intense and exciting players of his generation. Lenny Dykstra was born on February 10, 1963, in Santa Ana, California, a Southern California city known for its diversity and hardworking communities. From a young age, Dykstra displayed tireless energy and an almost instinctive desire to excel at everything he did. Born into a middle-class family, he learned early on the value of effort and perseverance. In an environment where sports served as both an outlet and a tool for social mobility, Lenny quickly connected with baseball, falling in love with the game as a child. It was common to see him with a glove in hand, playing with friends in neighborhood streets or in the backyard. As if every play mattered in a championship, Dykstra's passion for baseball was matched by an uncommon confidence for his age. While many boys dreamed of reaching the major leagues, he spoke with conviction that not only would he make it to MLB, but he would dominate the game. This mindset caught the attention of coaches and peers from the very start of his athletic journey. Lenny had an almost obsessive competitive mentality. He refused to lose, trained harder than anyone else, and demanded the best from himself as if he were always in the spotlight. Though his physical stature was unremarkable, his on-field presence was enormous. He played with heart and with the belief that he could overcome any opponent. During high school, Dykstra stood out as a versatile and aggressive player on his school team. His style of play already reflected what would become his MLB trademark: base-running speed, timely hits, and audacity that unsettled opponents. Even without being the most technically gifted, he made up for it with game intelligence, dedication to training, and a winner's mindset. Coaches described him as a young man impossible to ignore, someone who transformed the competitive environment and inspired others with the intensity he brought to every play. It was during this time that his nickname Nails began to emerge, referencing his emotional toughness and resilience in the face of adversity. Despite his prominence in high school baseball, Dykstra's path to professionalism was not easy. Many scouts doubted whether he had the physical build to succeed at the elite level, and opportunities didn't come as easily as they did for other prospects. However, Lenny remained undeterred. With the same conviction that had driven him since childhood, he continued to train, excel in amateur games, and relentlessly pursue a chance. His persistence was ultimately rewarded when he was selected by the New York Mets in the 13th round of the 1981 draft, a modest position, but one that opened the door to the beginning of a career defined by perseverance, intensity, and passion for the game. Lenny Dykstra was drafted by the New York Mets in the 13th round of the 1981 draft, a position that at first glance did not suggest stardom. What he lacked in draft status, he made up for with a rare combination of intensity, confidence, and natural athletic ability. From the start, it was clear Dykstra was no ordinary player. His aggressive style, electrifying speed on the bases, and willingness to throw himself headfirst into every play quickly made him one of the most talked-about names in the Mets development system. He didn't need the spotlight. His style of play commanded attention on its OWN in the minor leagues. Dykstra began building a reputation as a true game changer. Batting at the top of the order meant constant energy, pressure on defenders, and the ability to shift the pace of a game with a single hit or stolen base. During his time in the Mets farm system, he particularly stood out for his consistent batting average and on-base percentage. Coaches and scouts were impressed with his competitive maturity and game intelligence, attributes that, combined with his natural speed, made him one of the organization's most valued prospects, even though he was not initially considered a star. What truly set Dykstra apart from other young talents was his mentality. He played with an intensity that made every game feel like a World Series. This mindset translated into relentless training, a fearless approach at the plate, and a visible commitment to winning. There was no room for hesitation in his style. He constantly pressured the defense, took extra bases, challenged pitchers, and provoked errors. This calculated aggression reflected the personality he had built since childhood and now propelled him toward the major leagues. Lenny Dykstra made his Major League Baseball debut in 1985, and it was everything Mets fans could have hoped for. Right from his first games, Dykstra showed he was ready to compete at the highest level. He quickly took on the role of leadoff hitter, providing exactly what the team needed at the top of the lineup: speed, energy, and the ability to get into scoring position. Fans immediately connected with his blue-collar attitude, the kind of tireless worker who gave everything on every play. In no time, he became one of Shea Stadium's fan favorites. During his rookie season, Dykstra displayed a maturity beyond his years, showing remarkable discipline at the plate and a near-natural instinct for getting on base. His combination of speed and aggressiveness made him a constant threat in open field, and opposing pitchers knew that any mistake could turn into a run. Additionally, his outfield defense was solid from the start, with spectacular dives, strong throws, and efficient territory coverage. Even among veteran teammates, Dykstra proved he wasn't there just to watch and learn. He wanted to be a key player. Over time, it became clear that the Mets had found a key piece for their near future. Dykstra's energy helped inject confidence and competitiveness into a rising team. His early performances laid the foundation for the success the Mets would soon enjoy, culminating in historic moments such as the 1986 World Series championship. More than just a good player, Lenny Dykstra embodied the fighting spirit of that Mets generation. Combative, fearless, and always willing to push his limits for the sake of victory. Lenny Dykstra made his MLB debut on May 3, 1985, with the New York Mets, and from the very first game, it was clear he was no ordinary rookie. His intense playing style, fearless approach at the plate and speed on the bases made him an immediate and impactful presence. He didn't need an adjustment period. He dove headfirst, literally, into every play. For a young, ascending team like the Mets at the time, Dykstra's arrival was like striking a match in a room full of gas. His explosive energy quickly took over both the team and the fans. From his very first games, Dykstra was used as a leadoff hitter, and his ability to get on base, steal bases, and pressure opponents changed the dynamics of the games. He created opportunities out of nothing, energized his teammates with his grit, and showed he was willing to sacrifice his body, whether diving for balls in center field or sliding headfirst into bases for the win. His intensity was so pronounced that even in a roster full of strong personalities, he stood out. He was not just a promising player, but a true catalyst of energy and competitiveness. Shea Stadium fans quickly fell in love with his blue-collar style, a player who represented effort, sweat, and heart. To New York fans, Dykstra reflected the city's soul, tough, bold, and passionate about winning. He didn't seek glamour or individual recognition, but played with the urgency of someone who understood the value of every play, as if everything were always on the line. This combative spirit and authenticity made him, in a very short time, one of the team's most popular faces, even as a rookie. His impact in the 1985 season helped pave the way for the Mets' subsequent years of success. He brought a new dynamic to the team, raising the level of intensity and proving that talent alone was not enough. Attitude was key. From his debut onward, Dykstra became a fundamental part of the machinery that would take the Mets to the 1986 World Series title. Even before that glory, it was clear that this young man from California had become an essential part of the team's identity, irreverent, relentless, and tireless in the pursuit of victory. Lenny Dykstra played a crucial role in the New York Mets' 1986 World Series victory, embodying the combative and fearless spirit of that historic team. While he wasn't the team's main star, his role was absolutely vital. His relentless energy, aggressiveness on the bases, and ability to perform under pressure made him one of the postseason heroes. Dykstra was the type of player who embodied the motto, "Do whatever it takes to win." And throughout the campaign, his actions on the field reflected this commitment. During that postseason, Dykstra produced memorable plays that shifted the momentum of the series. One of his most iconic hits came in Game 3 of the National League Championship Series against the Houston Astros, when he hit a walk-off home run that became a symbol of the team's resilience and emotion. This moment not only ignited the fans and his teammates, but also solidified his status as one of the most decisive players in the rotation. It was the kind of play that defined not just a game, but the emotional tone of an entire series. And Dykstra seemed born for these moments. In the World Series against the Boston Red Sox, Dykstra continued to shine with intense and decisive performances. He maintained a high batting average and scored crucial runs that kept the Mets alive in dramatic games, especially in the legendary Games 6 and 7. His combination of instinct, boldness, and technical preparation allowed him to be a constant threat, whether leading off the lineup or destabilizing the defense with his presence on the bases. In a team full of strong personalities like Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, and Keith Hernandez, it was Dykstra's tireless style that often set the tone for on-field competitiveness. Beyond the statistics, what made Lenny Dykstra so essential was his attitude. He symbolized the team's soul, gritty, fierce, impetuous, and unbeatable in spirit. In a season marked by tight contests, dramatic games, and major challenges, Dykstra never hid. On the contrary, he thrived when the pressure was highest. His role in the 1986 title goes beyond numbers. He was the spark that ignited the team's competitive fire, a player who represented exactly what that group was: undisciplined, confident, but absolutely victorious in 1989, Lenny Dykstra's career took a decisive turn when he was traded by the Mets to the Philadelphia Phillies. Although he left behind the city where he had become a fan favorite, Dykstra found in Philadelphia the perfect environment to further develop his combative personality and assume an even greater starring role. From the moment he arrived, it was clear that he fit perfectly into the city's mentality: passionate, demanding, and appreciative of athletes who fought until the end. Dykstra quickly earned the respect of fans and local media, not only for his performance on the field, but also for his fearless attitude and tireless style of play. With the Phillies, Lenny Dykstra became a central figure in the team's offensive structure. Primarily hitting at the top of the lineup, he combined an impressive ability to get on base with speed and aggressiveness on the bases. His presence at the top of the order constantly pressured opposing pitchers, creating opportunities for the hitters behind him. In Philadelphia, he also began to develop more power at the plate, adding home runs to his offensive repertoire without losing the ability to draw walks and frustrate defenders. Dykstra was not just an efficient player, he was a natural agitator, using his intensity to unnerve opponents and energize his teammates. More than statistics, it was Lenny Dykstra's mindset that turned him into a symbol of that Phillies era. He led by example, playing with ferocity on every hit, diving to reach difficult balls, and running the bases with a boldness few dared to emulate. The team began to mold itself around him, adopting a combative identity that perfectly reflected the spirit of its offensive leader. For Dykstra, the trade to the Phillies was more than a change of uniform. It was an opportunity to lead a team with his personality and leave a lasting mark on one of MLB's most storied franchises. The 1993 season was, without a doubt, the peak of Lenny Dykstra's career. Serving as the offensive engine for the Philadelphia Phillies, he delivered an absolutely spectacular performance from start to finish. With 194 hits, 129 runs scored, and an incredible 111 walks, Dykstra masterfully led the top of the lineup, combining plate discipline, base running aggression, and a natural instinct for creating scoring opportunities. His consistency throughout the season was remarkable, maintaining a constant on-base presence and being a threat every time he came to the plate, forcing opposing pitchers to approach him with caution. More than the numbers, Dykstra was the soul of that Phillies team. His unrelenting energy and competitive spirit injected confidence into a roster that, in many ways, was considered an underdog. Under his leadership, the team surprised the league, overcoming powerful opponents and capturing the National League title. Dykstra not only led statistically, he embodied the identity of that team: scrappy, resilient, and relentless. His performance was so remarkable that he finished second in the National League MVP voting, behind only Barry Bonds, solidifying his season as one of the most impactful of the decade. In the postseason, Dykstra maintained his high level of play, serving as a key figure in the Phillies' run to the World Series against the Toronto Blue Jays. He contributed home runs, timely hits, and crucial runs in decisive games, displaying the same grit that defined him during the regular season. Although the Phillies did not win the championship, the legacy of 1993 remains one of the most celebrated in franchise history, with Dykstra recognized as the architect of that unforgettable campaign. It was the year when his talent, leadership, and intensity aligned perfectly, forever marking his trajectory in Major League Baseball. Lenny Dykstra embodied baseball played with heart, an athlete who risked his body with every inning, every base, and every attempt to hit a difficult pitch. His intense and often reckless playing style thrilled fans because it demonstrated a rare level of dedication in professional sports. He was known for diving headfirst on outfield plays, contesting every base as if it were the last, and never backing down from a challenge. This approach not only made him exciting to watch, but also inspired his teammates to give their all, fostering a culture of grit and sacrifice throughout the team. At the plate, Dykstra was equally daring. He ran aggressively on the bases, forcing defensive errors and testing the limits of opposing strategies. Many considered him one of the best leadoff hitters of his era, not just for his on-base skills, but for how he disrupted pitchers with his presence. His speed, combined with sharp game awareness, allowed him to turn singles into doubles and steal bases frequently, even when the odds seemed minimal. This natural instinct for taking risks and creating impact made him one of the most unpredictable and dangerous players in baseball. However, this style came at a cost. Constant collisions, dives, and overexertion led to numerous injuries throughout his career. But for Dykstra, that was part of the game. He believed that intensity was his greatest asset and that victory could only be achieved by playing with total courage. His reputation as a relentless competitor was so strong that even the toughest opponents respected or even feared him. In a sport that highly values consistency and technique, Dykstra stood out for playing with his soul, becoming a symbol of absolute effort and unconditional passion for baseball. Despite the brilliance of his career, Lenny Dykstra could not escape the shadows that hung over many players of the 1990s era: allegations of performance-enhancing substance use. Over the years, claims emerged that Dykstra had turned to anabolic steroids during the peak of his career, particularly in the 1993 season, considered by many his best. This revelation sparked controversy and cast doubt on the legitimacy of his impressive offensive numbers, fueling a debate that still divides fans and analysts today. Dykstra himself later admitted in interviews that he had used banned substances, justifying his choice as a response to the intense pressure for results and the need to stay competitive in an environment where many peers allegedly did the same. While some saw this confession as a gesture of delayed honesty, it did not erase the stain on his legacy. For many critics, steroid use compromised the integrity of his on-field achievements, especially considering he built his image around intensity, courage, and personal effort. The controversies surrounding Dykstra's substance use add to other legal and behavioral issues that marked his post-career life, contributing to a reputation defined by extreme highs and lows. Yet, his sporting impact continues to be a topic of discussion. To what extent should his achievements be celebrated, and how much of them can be attributed to external factors? This duality summarizes Lenny Dykstra's legacy, a player who, despite undeniable talent and memorable performances, ended his career surrounded by controversies that challenge a simple and definitive evaluation of his contribution to baseball. Lenny Dykstra's post-baseball life was marked by a series of scandals and legal troubles that stood in stark contrast to his image as a sports hero of the 1980s and 1990s. After officially retiring in 1996, Dykstra attempted to reinvent himself as a businessman and investor, even launching a magazine aimed at athletes seeking financial guidance. However, many of these ventures quickly proved unsustainable, culminating in a bankruptcy filing in 2009. The man who was once a symbol of grit and success on the field now faced severe financial difficulties and questions about his credibility. Dykstra's financial problems were only the beginning of a series of more serious legal issues. He was charged and later convicted of a variety of crimes, including fraud, identity theft, and drug possession. In 2012, he was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison, shocking many fans who still remembered his heroic performances with the Mets and Phillies. Additionally, allegations of harassment and misconduct in other areas of his life further tarnished his public image. The fall of a sports icon like Dykstra highlighted just how fragile the line can be between fame and failure, especially when the transition to life after sports is poorly managed. Even after serving his sentence, Lenny Dykstra remained embroiled In controversies, including provocative public appearances, controversial interviews, and other incidents that reinforced his reputation as someone who could not escape scandal. Despite attempts to rebuild his image through books and media appearances, his narrative continues to be defined by the stark contrast between athletic glory and personal downfall. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of mismanaged fame and the psychological impact that intense pressure and the spotlight can have on professional athletes over time. Dykstra's legacy as a symbol of intensity in baseball remains alive decades after the peak of his career. Known for his boundless energy, willingness to take risks on every play, and ability to turn small moments into significant actions on the field, Dykstra became an example of limitless competitiveness. His aggressive approach not only inspired teammates, but also intimidated opponents, creating an aura of respect and apprehension evident in every hit, stolen base, or defensive dive. He embodied the idea that every game was a battle and every inning an opportunity to give everything on the field. Beyond his physical intensity, Dykstra left an indelible mark through his competitive mindset. He was not just a player executing technical skills. He lived the game emotionally, leading by example and transmitting a psychological strength that often motivated the entire team. With the Mets, he contributed to the historic 1986 World Series victory, and with the Phillies, he led the team with impressive stats and a dominant presence all the way to the 1993 World Series. His intensity, combined with offensive skill and defensive courage, made him one of the most admired athletes by fans who valued passion and commitment in sports. Even in the face of off-field controversies, Dykstra's image as a relentless competitor persists. For many baseball fans and analysts, he symbolizes absolute dedication to the game, someone who never held back and always aimed to impact each game significantly. His often risky playing style and ability to inspire teams remain central elements of his legacy, ensuring that despite personal challenges and criticism, Lenny Dykstra is remembered as one of the most intense, exciting, and memorable players of his generation. Reflecting on Lenny Dykstra's career highlights how intensity and passion can be transformative forces within a team. From his early days with the Mets to his peak with the Phillies, Dykstra demonstrated rare energy, capable of inspiring teammates and intimidating opponents. Every bold play, every risky run, and every decisive hit were expressions of his unwavering commitment to victory, showing that a true competitor goes beyond statistics, shaping team spirit and inspiring those around him. Despite his on-field achievements, Dykstra's trajectory also reminds us that talent and intensity must be balanced with discipline and responsibility. Controversies involving substance use and legal troubles following his retirement contrast sharply with the image of a sports hero he built in the 1980s and 1990s. These episodes underscore that athletic greatness alone does not guarantee an impeccable legacy. Character and personal choices also shape the memory we leave behind. Even so, it is impossible to ignore Dykstra's impact as a symbol of baseball intensity. His willingness to give his all in every play inspired teammates, thrilled fans, and transformed games. The way he challenged the physical and mental limits of his body demonstrates that true competitive spirit involves courage, passion, and complete dedication to what one loves. This legacy of intensity lives on in the memory of fans who witnessed his inexhaustible energy on the field. Dykstra's career also reminds us of the importance of leadership and presence within a team. Even without always being in the spotlight, his attitude in the locker room, his commitment, and his combative spirit positively influenced teammates. Leaders like him show that motivation, example, and determination can transform a group's dynamic, creating a culture of dedication that goes beyond individual talent. Beyond the field, his story serves as a warning about the risks and challenges athletes face off the game. The transition to life after sports is not always simple, and poor choices can tarnish legacies. Dykstra faced financial difficulties, legal battles, and personal problems, showing that managing one's life and image is as essential as athletic performance. This reality adds a human dimension to his story, reminding us that heroes on the field are also vulnerable and capable of mistakes. Yet, even amid controversies, Dykstra's intensity remains admired. He represents the essence of a competitor who spares no effort to make a difference, someone who plays with courage, determination, and authenticity. This unique and unmistakable energy is what secures his place in baseball's memory, inspiring new generations of players to embrace challenges with boldness and passion for the sport. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell so you'll be alerted whenever new content is uploaded, and don't forget to comment and share with friends. Reflecting on his life invites us to consider the complexity of a sport's legacy. It's not just about numbers or titles, but about how a player's presence impacts teams, fans, and the culture of the sport itself. Lenny Dykstra exemplifies how intensity, dedication, and competitive spirit can make history, even when accompanied by personal challenges and controversies. His story is both a warning and an inspiration. Ultimately, Lenny Dykstra's legacy teaches that passion, courage, and authenticity are qualities that transcend statistics and trophies. He shows that being a true competitor means taking risks, leading by example, and giving your all to what you love. Despite the challenges, his on-field achievements and unforgettable energy endure, reminding us that intensity and courage can transform ordinary moments into extraordinary stories in baseball and in life. Until the next journey, dear friends and baseball lovers,